what I'll do is I'll talk for about 20 minutes, just the general what, why, and how of applying to summer research programs. I'll go through a timeline. I'll demonstrate how to search for summer research programs on our website, and then I'll pass it over to our guest speakers. We have two excellent guest speakers. We have Nelson Zunlame, who's a McNair scholar and a psychology major at Indiana University, who's recently done some summer research himself. And then we have Yolanda Trevino, who's assistant dean in the graduate school at Indiana University, who also provides some tips on applying and talk a little bit about some example programs that are available at IU. Let's see, I'm going to share my desktop now. And just to let you know, there may be a second or two delay between what you see the guest speakers talking about and what you see on your screen. So please bear with us if there's a little bit of a delay due to the connection. What you see in front of you, we call a concept map. So concept map is information, and each little square of information, each concept has some icons and some attached information like handouts, links. What we'll do is we'll send you a link to this concept map after the webinar is over. We'll also send you a link to the video recording of the webinar. I just want you to kind of be aware that there are all these attached resources to each concept, and that you can click on them and download them and explore them in more detail on your own. I'll try to highlight the resources that are in this concept map as we go through the presentation, but I just wanted to let you know that that'll be there for you to explore after the webinar is over. So let's begin with the basics of what is summer research. These programs are usually 8 to 10 weeks in length during the summer, of course, and they're often located at a college or university campus, but they can also be in a private research lab setting or a federal research lab setting. It's entirely possible that your home institution hosts many different kinds of summer research. So in these programs, you'll generally work under the guidance of a faculty member or two on a research project, and you'll probably be interacting with graduate students as well. The programs usually consist of a small group or cohort of about 8 to 12 undergraduate students that you'll be working with over the course of the summer. And the programs we'll talk about today, they are all paid. They generally offer travel support and housing as well. And the programs are in just about every discipline and every geographic location you can possibly imagine. And the programs are fun. These are some pictures from an atmospheric science, our summer research program. They usually combine fieldwork and lab work. They're a great way to get some experience out in the field and in the lab in a way that you can't do during the normal academic semester. So here are some more pictures from a few different summer research programs: chemistry, ocean science, atmospheric science again. They generally provide some sort of professional development activities on top of the research activities that you're doing. For example, you may receive some funding to attend a conference either during or after the summer research experience, or you may have access to some career development workshops, GRE prep workshops, that sort of thing. And then, as I mentioned, the programs are paid. Some good sources for these programs: one is the National Science Foundation, or NSF for short. They call their programs REUs, Research Experience for Undergraduates. So if you hear me say REU, that's what I'm talking about, and then they slip up and use that acronym. There are at least 500 to 600 NSF REUs across the country in a variety of disciplines. Again, they occur in the summer. The stipend for these is usually $4,500 for the summer, plus travel support and housing. The housing is usually in a dormitory or other shared housing situations. And all the NSF REUs have slightly different application requirements and different deadlines, but the deadlines are generally right about now, January, February, and maybe some that are in March, but March is a bit late for the deadlines. And our website, pathwaytoscience.org, is a great place to search for these programs. I'll do a demo search for you guys in a little bit. I wanted to bring up and highlight that there are a lot of videos on YouTube for these REU programs, videos created by students who participated in the programs, and they're a great way to get a sense for what it's like to be a part of one of these REUs. Another source that you should think about is NASA. NASA offers several hundred summer internships each summer. A lot of people I know think NASA is only aerospace engineering, but that's not true. NASA has internships in just about every one of the STEM disciplines: chemistry, biology, physics, certainly many types of engineering, mathematics, computer science, and sometimes a few opportunities in like business and finance as well. So definitely check out NASA, even if your gut reaction is that you may not, that it may not be relevant to your major. The stipend for these, again, similar to the NSFRU, somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000 for a summer. NASA is a little bit different in that they have a standard application deadline, which is March 1st. And you complete a single base application, and then you can apply for up to 15 different internships. Now, their internships occur at one of the NASA research centers across the country, where you're working alongside a NASA scientist. Let's see, I just wanted to quickly bring up that NASA application website. So it's called One Stop Shop Initiative Aussie. So this is where you complete a base application, and then you can apply for up to 15 different internships. One thing to note that's a little bit confusing and was brought up in our last webinar is that you have to complete your base application before the website will let you apply. Otherwise, it kind of looks as if the deadline's passed for all the opportunities. That's not the case. The deadline's March 1st. And offers are rolling, so it's good to complete your application early if you can. So that's kind of the basic what is summer research, but why should you even be thinking about these programs? Why should you apply? And there are many reasons. Summer research gives you a great academic foundation. It helps build your research skills, which is a great stepping stone if you're interested in graduate school. Some research experience is really excellent when you're applying for graduate school. And because you're often working alongside some graduate students when you're in these programs, it gives you a little bit of insight into what graduate school is like, what life as a graduate student might be like. It also gives you some valuable faculty connections where you get to be really kind of one-on-one with faculty members in a way that may be difficult if you're at a large institution for the majority of the academic year. This is a good way to maybe develop some good faculty references for those letters of recommendation that you need. A lot of students actually find the faculty member that they want to be their master's or PhD advisor through a summer research program. And it's just a good networking opportunity. As we talked about, it gives you some good hands-on experience in the field in a lab in a way that you often just can't get in a regular course. You have that, intensive time and exposure to equipment and all that you can do in the summer research experience. It's a good way to explore some fields of interest, maybe something outside of your major or something interdisciplinary. You may find a little research niche that you didn't even know existed, but that you really love and you want to pursue. Or on the flip side, you may discover you really thought you were interested in this certain area. You go and do a summer research program in that area. Nope, that's really not for you after all. Well, that's a great thing to figure out before you've committed to, a 5-year doctoral program in that area. So these are a great way to explore. And then, of course, you get to travel. You get to meet new people, make new friends, and have fun and get paid the whole time. So it's a pretty good deal. Moving on to the mechanics of how you should apply, I'd like to sort of point out we have a couple of good handouts here. One's called Creating a Winning Application, and the other is focused on applying to undergraduate summer research opportunities. And that latter one I have open here in another window. Again, you'll get links to all of these when we send a follow-up email from this webinar. But this applying to summer research experiences has a nice calendar of activities for applying. And now I don't want anyone who hasn't gotten started yet to panic that you didn't do the things that are listed under summer and early fall and fall. This is the ideal timeline, but it's not too late. You can still catch up and apply, and I would encourage you to do so. But take a look at this. It's a really nice way to organize your application schedule. So in general, you should be starting with working on your cover letter and personal statement, updating your resume, And you often may need to start with a discussion with your family about why you actually want to go do this summer research program. We find sometimes this is not insignificant. It's an important discussion to have. We have a handout, again, attached to this concept with some tips on how to talk with your parents about why you may need to leave home and do some research over the summer, why it's important to your academic career, and why it can help you fulfill some of your career goals. The next step, of course, is searching for programs, and I'll give you a demo of our website search. You want to be really organized if you can, because all the programs have different application deadlines. Some of them might come up early, like late December or January. You want to be aware of all the separate application requirements for each program. Every program is going to be different on what they need: transcripts, letters of recommendation, essays. And then moving on, as you're making your program selection, which ones you want to apply to, you're really polishing your personal essay and your cover letters. I want to encourage you to use your campus writing center and your friends and peers and faculty mentors to make sure that you get a few different eyes reviewing your application. We have a handout attached to this concept on improving your personal statements that might be helpful. And this is also a time when you can start to contact the programs that you're really interested in, you're going to apply to. You can let them know that you're interested, that you're sending in your application. You can do that by email. You can do it by phone. You don't want to ask how to apply. Those questions should be answered on their website. But you just want to express your interest so that your name rings a bell when they see your application cross their desk. Generally, you're going to need to submit some letters of recommendation. And again, we have a nice handout on requesting letters of recommendation, how to build relationships for getting strong letters of recommendation. You want to make sure that you have someone who can write a good letter of reference. And when you make the request, often it's helpful to faculty members if you can supply them with your resume, if you can give them some bulleted highlights of your work in a class that they taught, or perhaps if you worked alongside them in an internship or a research project, that you highlight some of the things that you accomplished. You want to make it easy for them to write you the best letter possible. And you're going to need to give them as much lead time as you can. A month is great. Make sure you follow up with them. Faculty are really busy, and they want you to have a great and successful application. So they're okay with pleasant but persistent reminders. You do want to follow up until you make sure and you know that your application is complete. Ideally, Christmas break was a great time to finish your applications, but again, it's not too late. The next few weeks, you can put together some great applications and submit them. Once you've submitted your whole application, you do want to make one more contact with the program. Make sure that they received everything, that everything is complete, that they got all the letters of recommendation, that sort of thing. And then usually in early spring, you can expect to get some notifications. Hopefully, and those notifications usually come by email, so make sure you check your email. Hopefully you'll be in the position of considering an offer or a couple of offers. And so when you've made the decision, respond to the program, and then also don't forget to go back and tell your recommenders how things went. That's a really nice professional courtesy. And, your recommenders are curious, and if you give them, if you take the time to let them know how things ended up, they'll be more likely to go the extra mile for you in the future. Okay, so that's kind of the quick and dirty of what, why, and how. I want to do a little demo of our website before I pass it over to our guest speakers. So this is our website, pathwaystoscience.org. Let's see, to start out, before we do a search for programs, I just want to show you the student sign-up form. If you have not already done this, I would encourage you to do it. What we do is students that sign up for our student directory, we send them a few reminders each year about upcoming deadlines, summer research programs, graduate fellowships, graduate programs, that sort of thing. We get contacted by faculty who are recruiting students for programs. If you are in our student directory, then we can connect you with those faculty, based, of course, on your level of study and your major and minor. It takes about under 5 minutes to fill out. Our next sort of section of our website that's really popular is our search for programs. And I'll just do a quick example. So I'm going to search for undergraduate students, and I'll just do biology. This will bring up the summer research programs for undergraduates. It'll also bring up undergraduate level scholarships and any other undergraduate level programs. You can see the acronym REU, so that's the NSF Research Experiences for Undergraduates. And you can see the little exclamation point are deadlines that are coming up. Those are some fellowships there. Anyway, you can see in biology it was 199 programs. So you may want to limit things a little bit, which you can do with the advanced search. So you can limit by geographic location, citizenship status. You can do multiple disciplines if you'd like. This is a great tool to play around with and find different programs of interest. And then one more thing that I want to highlight before I pass it over are our resources library. We have this toolbox. There's a lot of handy materials. A lot of these are materials that I mentioned that were attached to the concept map, but some helpful items on preparing your application, getting the most out of your summer research experience. So again, something else to explore. Okay, so at this time I want to pass our conversation on to our first guest speaker, Nelson Zumame, who is a McNair Scholar at Indiana University, and he's a psychology major about to graduate this spring.
All right, so hi guys. So as she said, my name is Nelson Zumame. Go to Indiana University. I'm a senior studying psychology in addition to sociology and political science. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about summer research from my perspective, and then I'll tell you a little bit about my experience specifically conducting summer research. So next slide, please. So the first advice I would give to everyone is to start early. The earlier you can start, the better. And like conducting research in general. And one way that I think is a good way to do that is by joining a lab in the field of your interest, if that's possible. This gives you an early start to research. You can learn basic research methods or skills in your specific area, and these can be transferable skills that make it easier to translate into applying to and getting into a summer research program, whether it be at your school or a different school or through some other program. And I would recommend, if possible, doing summer research starting your sophomore year, just so that you can get started in conducting research pretty early, and you can do summer research for multiple years, and that's a nice way to sort of build your CV sooner, which is important for graduate school or things like that. Next slide, please. So in terms of conducting summer research and kind of what that looks like, depending on the program, it's usually about 20 to 40 hours a week in a lab setting usually, again, depending on your field. But this is taken up by designing, conducting, and analyzing the different aspects of your study. And then out of the lab, I would say another 7 to 15, again, depending on your program, depending on your field. And that's usually taken up by literature reviews or attending seminars and other things that you need to do specific to your project. I know one student who was doing research at the same time as I was. He was a history student, and he spent a lot of his time locating and reading various like books and things like that. So he had a bit more time out of the lab than I had, since I mostly just did literature reviews, but he had to do kind of, read massive books. So next slide, please. So the program that I did, the McNair program here at IU, we have to do seminars during the summer. So we had to do a research method seminar, which just gave us the basic, like an illustration of how to do basic research that's kind of applicable to all different fields, such as choosing methods, conducting literature reviews, things like that. We also had to do academic and scholarly writing, which showed us kind of how to write and how to write the different sections that are usually found in a manuscript. We had a presentation seminar, which not only showed us how to make our presentation PowerPoint and poster, but also gave us tips on how to present our research to different people. We had a CV or resume development seminar, which just showed us formatting and different ways to kind of go about making a CV. We had a funding graduate school one, which I think was really helpful in terms of just letting you know the different options out there for funding yourself through graduate school, such as assistantships, fellowships, loans, or things like that. We had a GRE class, which was really helpful in preparing us for the GRE. And then the one I found the most helpful was the writing personal statement one, just because I personally was having a lot of trouble getting started and kind of making a good personal statement to submit for graduate programs. And I would advise anyone who's applying to graduate school or any sort of thing that requires a personal statement, the earlier you can start on that, the better. I know a lot of people that I know personally kind of put it off until the last minute, but when you really start to get into it, you realize that it takes a really, really long time to make a really good draft that you feel comfortable submitting, and you want to make the best one possible, because these are kind of the things that help set you apart, personal statements specifically. So I'd say start the earlier the better. Next slide, please. And then the benefits, just in general, you learn transferable skills that prepare you for graduate school or other type of work if that's what you're interested in. You can get to see a project through from the beginning to the end, which is very important just for seeing exactly how much work goes into conducting research. And you learn basic research skills and methods in your field. And another important thing is just learning if research is something that you're interested in. If you want to go to graduate school and you are pursuing a PhD, research is something that you're going to have to do. So seeing if you like it is obviously something that is important and may save you a lot of trouble down the road if you figure out later that that's not something you're interested in. Also good for getting you letters of recommendation, which you're going to need for getting into graduate school or some other type of program. Is good for building your CV. And then if you're not currently in a lab when you start your summer research, this may be a good way to get skills that allow you to join a lab, or if you're already in a lab, maybe join a second lab, if that's something that you'd want to do. And then it could lead you to conduct an honors thesis in the future. I know for my field, specifically psychology, programs are looking more and more for students who complete honors thesis, so that's a good way to kind of get yourself ready for that. And then you get a stipend, which is nice, and depending on the program, it could be more than what's on the screen. It could be less. But next screen, please. And then, so now I'm just going to talk to you briefly about my experience with summer research. So I started doing summer research my sophomore year, through the summer of my sophomore year, through the McNair program at my school. And so I worked closely with a faculty member here conducting an experiment that we designed together. And it was a very great opportunity just seeing a project through to completion and just seeing the different methods and just really getting my hands in and seeing exactly what research was about and convincing me that that's something that I wanted to pursue as far as graduate school and just in general. And then the skills that I learned from that summer program allowed me to join an additional lab that was more closely aligned with what I'm interested in, which is clinical psychology. And then based on the skills that I gained from both of those labs, I was able to conduct an honors thesis my junior year, which was really tough, but I wouldn't have been able to do that without having started doing summer research back when I did. And then that also led me to become lab coordinator for one of my labs, which has been a really great experience. And I've also been able to travel around the country and present my research at various conferences, which has been really, really fun. And you also get to meet a lot of professors and students and things like that. And I've got to meet professors and students from programs that I'm applying to this year for graduate school, and I think that's been helpful in terms of figuring out exactly where I want to go and the programs I'm looking for and things like that. And I'd say that the seminars also provided me with a lot of helpful information about how to get into graduate school, but also how to succeed once you're there. Yeah, that's kind of my story.
Great, thank you, Nelson. So we'll take questions at the end. If you want to, if you have something burning, go ahead and put it in the chat box. But meanwhile, we're going to hear from our second guest speaker, who is Yolanda Trevino, and she's the Assistant Dean at the Graduate School at IU. And Yolanda, I think you should
Yes.
your PowerPoint.
Hello, everybody. This is Yolanda, and I'm calling from chilly Bloomington, Indiana. Unfortunately, I have a cold, so I might be speaking a little bit more slowly, and I will try to be sure that you can understand me. So I'm one of the deans here at the graduate school, and I work with faculty and students who are interested in graduate education, and many of those are undergraduates. So I'm really glad that so many of you are attending today's webinar. Next slide, please. This presentation was presented earlier in the year. We have an annual conference here at Indiana University called the Indiana University Undergraduate Research Conference. And it started off with basically the exact same thing that Liv did, is to let students who have never participated or had an experience in a research experience, and they might think that research is similar to an internship. And so I wanted to start off with definitions of what a research experience is, and it's very similar as to why you'd want to do that, when you want to do it, and how. So next slide. So as was mentioned here, undergraduate research is an opportunity for undergrads to conduct, to make original, intellectual, or creative contribution to a specific discipline. So it doesn't always have to be in the sciences. You can do, as Nelson mentioned, he has a classmate who was in history. You can also do creative activity in the arts, definitely in business. And so it's an opportunity for students to work closely and under the supervision of a faculty member. And I think that's the main thing that I would want you guys to know, that you're going to be working with faculty, either one-on-one, faculty with their research team, which would include other undergraduate students, grad students, and even postdocs. So you're working not just alone, but in a group of creative thinkers and individuals who are trying to address a problem that exists out there. Next slide. So again, why would students want to do this? I mean, hey, you're busy in the fall and the spring, and why would you want to do it in the summer? Well, this is an opportunity for you to dedicate and to allow yourself to really be competitive. Graduate school, from my perspective, is an opportunity, is a time when you are working closely in an area of an academic area where you're passionate about, that you really want to make a difference. And it's very competitive. And so when you participate in a research experience, you make yourself, you say something about yourself to the faculty, to the program that you are interested in. You're saying that you know what you're thinking about, that you're open to exploring different ideas, working with different groups of people. And so participation not only benefits you educationally, but it benefits you professionally. Nelson had put on his slide that he was able to present his findings and his research experience nationally. He's not only presented here on campus, he's presented here in the state, but also at a national conference, and that's just through the McNair program. There's also opportunities for students to present with their faculty. Some students even get to be invited to present internationally. So professionally and personally, it's a wonderful opportunity that a lot of students are doing. And if you're not doing it, I would say that you're putting yourself at a slightly of a disadvantage, because then the only thing that one can say is your transcript. The only thing that you can rely on is those letters of recommendation. And those letters of recommendation, when you apply for graduate school, many times come from faculty that you've conducted research in. Next slide. So who participates in these experiences? Well, from where I stand, all undergraduate students are open to participating in these experiences. But these students, they're folks who are wanting to do just something to set themselves apart. So they're wanting to build their academic foundation. They're wanting to get a hands-on experience in the field. And later on in this presentation, you're going to see I participated in a program as a faculty on-site liaison with students from Montana, individuals from Arizona, people from California, and those as well as from Indiana in Borneo. And this is in an island that shares, that is both from Malaysia, Indonesia, and Brunei. And so students are able to do hands-on in the field, in the jungles of Borneo, on aromatics and medicinal plants, and it was pretty amazing. You're able to explore. I mean, you might enjoy what you're doing, or maybe you're finding something really interesting, but now you're really able to go and in depth and explore that area of interest even deeper. And for 8 to 10 weeks in the summer, I'm a first-generation college student. My parents did not go to college, and so this is an opportunity for me to earn some money and tap into my academic, intellectual side, and to do some more exploration. As was mentioned, making those connections with faculty, that is critical. So this is a wonderful opportunity to do that. You get to travel, you make new friends, and it is a lot of fun. And it's also, as was mentioned, a stepping stone into graduate school. Next slide. So, as was mentioned here a couple of times, what does it look like? Well, you're paired with a faculty member. You're working on a project that you, most often than not, you're the one who gets to ask the question. The faculty member will support you, or you'll be able to work on a project that's already ongoing and in progress, and you're able to join that lab and that faculty member in that project. The majority of experiences are in the summer, but many students are also doing research experiences throughout the academic year. Like McNair is one of the programs that it's a year-long program. Next slide. So where would you conduct these research opportunities? The majority are on campus in a lab. And so if you're thinking as a sophomore, maybe I'll do some research here at my home institution. Then as a junior, maybe you are thinking, I'd like to maybe do and conduct research at NASA, at one of their research sites, or at another university that has a research experience. Or you could even do it at an international project site. And these are real live pictures of individuals you see here. They're in Borneo, students that were conducting research on the medicinal plants in Borneo. Next slide. One of the reasons why I've offered to participate in this webinar is because the Institute for Broadening Participation, IBP, is really an amazing organization that is able to bring together research opportunities that you can tailor to that your search to, in terms of if you're living in the West Coast and you'd like to see and experience something on the East Coast, you can look at that. Look for programs in that area. You can also look for programs by discipline. The neat thing about NASA that I have heard students say is, oh, well, I'm not in physics, or, I'm not in engineering. But NASA is looking for individuals who are able to help them complete their mission. So they're looking for folks who are in business. They're looking for folks who know how to maybe do some science communication. So if you are not only in the sciences, you might be able to find opportunities within these science agencies that would help them to complete that mission. And so by using the search engine, depending on the time that faculty are posting these opportunities, you can find as many between 1,500 and 2,000 programs at any one time that are being listed. And if you visit the website, you'll see that there are several programs, the National Science Foundation and NOAA, and just all over the place, all over many different agencies. Next slide. So how do you apply? Well, you want to make sure that that you are providing the things that people are looking for. So they want to know that that you are open to learning, and so that you be in good academic standing, a 3.0 or higher. And, maybe if you have a 2.7, 2.8, it's still okay. I mean, depending on how early on in your educational career you are, if you're a sophomore, that 2.7 can very easily be pulled up to a 3.4 or 3.5. And so there's the online application form, there's an academic transcript, and so being me as a first-generation college student, this does take a little bit of time and a little bit of money to apply. And so, be thinking about that. Many programs will accept either student transcripts that you can get a copy of that where it doesn't cost you any money, but really what you want to invest in is the time. As Nelson was mentioning, that personal statement is critical. I know of students who are writing personal statements for these programs that are at least maybe 5, 6, 7 times. They have 7 different edits and versions of that. And if you're thinking, well, I can do it in 3, okay, you can, but know that other students are really investing the time into making it really tight, making sure that it's clear, and at the end of the day, that it's concise. And I think that the concise statements say a lot in terms of being able to say rich and have rich descriptions in the fewest amount of words. So it's not, hey, 3 pages. It's a page and a half of who you are and what you're passionate, what you're interested in. You'll be asked maybe to submit letters of recommendation from faculty. And as you're looking at this, you're going, this looks very similar to what I needed to do when I applied for college. And this is going to be very similar to what you'll be needing to provide when you apply to grad school. So the more connections, the more practice that you have in creating this portfolio of yourself and your experience, it's really good to have. And then being able to summarize what your interest is, why you're interested in doing something with that specific faculty member, or why something in computing is of interest in your cybersecurity, and why you would like to spend some focus time on that project. Next slide. So when it was mentioned, do it early and do it as often as possible when to participate. If you can do it as a rising sophomore, as a junior and a senior, you're really putting yourself in a position that's going to be very helpful to you for graduate admissions. Next slide. This is the same timeline that was presented through the IBP handout, that in giving yourself plenty of time, you're able to make your application to be very complete. But that doesn't mean that, as was mentioned right now, that you don't have time right now. If you spend a weekend, and it's like an entire weekend, you could probably get many of these things together and organized. And so don't count yourself out, or don't put yourself out of the competition because, we're at the beginning of January and the deadline is February 15th. I mean, you've got a month and a week. You've got 5 weeks to do this, and you can. So I highly encourage you to get excited and to throw your hat in the ring and do that. Next slide. And if you want any more information, visit the IBP website. They've got many other different webinars that have been archived. You can go online and off of YouTube. There's several channels that have research experiences from students who talk about what they've learned, and so check those out. Next slide. Okay, I think that's about it. Well, one of the things that I wanted just to finally close with is here at Indiana University, we've got one program that it's very, very competitive, and it's known as the Center for Integrative Study on Animal Behavior. So we've got students, it's multidisciplinary, it's interdisciplinary. So we've got students, undergraduates, who are learning about animal behavior from psychology, animal behavior from maybe I was going to say from the linguistics and communication, animal behavior in terms of biology. And so it's very interdisciplinary. But I think one of the neat things about this program is it's been around since 1990. It's a very well-established program. But they were saying that in the first couple of weeks that students are working together, learning on how to be trained in different research techniques in the different labs. And they also are able to do field trips like going to the Indianapolis Zoo, attending workshops on research ethics, conducting different experiments, and so it's pretty exciting. There was a student who was a participant of this, and they really, really enjoyed the program. And so this program starts May 18th, and it goes through July the 25th, and the application deadline is here in February. We also have a program, Indiana University, that we partner with, I think, 10 or 12 different HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities. And this is known as our STEM initiative. We have our Summer Scholars Institute, where students from these different universities identify faculty members that they would like to conduct research in. And our goal is to have you come to Bloomington or Indianapolis and do research with faculty, and at the end of the day, hopefully say, this is really interesting, I like it, and I'd like to maybe go to grad school here. And we've got, and that's another thing that I'd like for you guys to think about, using these research experiences as free trips to visit other universities and to live there, to see what it's like beyond what is presented to you on a website, beyond what maybe you're going to get from an email address, or beyond what you'll see at a recruitment fair where you're talking to one individual at a table when you're ready for grad school. You'll be living, you'll see that what that institution is like, what the facilities are like, up hand and up close. So I'm excited for you. If you have any questions for me later on, I'm here to answer them by email, and good luck to you.